biggest challenge, I guess two big challenges that I've run into in private practice are one, and I guess it's kind of similar, but I've had to work really hard to maintain peer supervision throughout this and scheduling times with my colleagues, and it's very hard because I'm only in the office 2 days a week, and we're all sharing space, so it's hard to coordinate that. And I'm now being able to do that with more regularity, and obviously it makes me a better counselor, and I think probably my colleagues as well, just to be able to discuss approaches and cases, and it just kind of broadens the perspective on each case. So that's been something I've had to work really hard at doing, and you get a lot more of that in an agency setting. It's kind of planned in, and a lot of times it's a whole bunch of people and you may not get to staff your case, but it's kind of built into the model a lot of times. The other biggest thing that's on my radar right now, because I just recently had a case where I needed to refer out for, in my case it was a substance abuse assessment. I really wanted this client that I have rapport with to get a really good substance abuse assessment, and I'm not in touch with that world very much. And I've learned by being in private practice, just by being a counselor, like any profession, there's really, really talented, skilled folks, and there's people that are not as skilled. And it's hard to learn in Asheville, being in private practice, who's who. And so I haven't found yet a way that people can really know that about each other. I've been kind of fantasizing about some sort of like Facebook type thing for therapists, so you know who specializes in what. The best resource I've found is Psychology Today. So people who pay to have their listings on there are on there. I haven't ever paid to do that, so I'm not on there, but I imagine there's a lot of other people like me. But I can access it for information. All I bill is Blue Cross, Blue Shield, Health Choice, and Medicaid, and beyond that, cash agreements. I have a sliding scale, and my sliding scale is set up to where I don't want to see people's paychecks. I don't want to have that conversation with people. I just say my sliding scale is from 55 to 125. What can you pay, or what is it worth to you? And whatever they decide is great. When I first went into private practice, I made a little, I guess you'd call it kind of a brochure, and just sent it to the people that I knew in the area. I knew somebody that worked at DSS, have several friends that are school counselors, just sent that out. So that generated an initial little bit. Other than that, we have sent marketing information to doctors' offices in the area. So we get a lot of referrals from doctors' offices. I get referrals from colleagues. I get referrals from friends of friends. In an agency, chances are you're getting a percentage of everything you bill or a flat salary. I was always getting a percentage. So I know when I moved from an agency to contracting with an agency, my percentage just went up that I got. Part of that was because I became licensed. In private practice, you get everything unless you're paying someone to do your billing. However, there's different ways to structure your company, of course. I'm a sole proprietor. It's just me. I'm billing for Meghan. I don't have an LLC or anything like that. So I have to pay a pretty good chunk of everything that I bring in to taxes. I'm leasing a space, but for example, we have 2 offices and a waiting room. And we usually have about 4 people sharing that space. So we rent per day, basically. Okay. So each month we divide the space by a number of days of use. And we don't have, we're kind of bare bones in a sense, because we don't have a receptionist. We all take turns returning calls from the voicemail and that kind of thing.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. It's worked great, but I think it's just real important to know who you're sharing space with, and we're very cautious about who we invite to join us. So we really want to know that they're really professional and that they're very ethical. For being kind of a kid person, everybody wants to come after that. So my schedule has been having appointments 4, 5, 6, and 7 typically. And 7 o'clock is too late for young children, so that's typically what it is. I don't get a lot of children coming in during the day, and I don't push that because I get it. It interrupts their school, which causes a variety of problems. I think I'm kind of the minority in the profession a lot of times because I do have a real business mind, and I've got those clear boundaries. I'm very good at sitting down and tracking my billing, and there's that whole side of me. It's not the most fun stuff, but I can do it and do it well. So that's been a pretty easy part for me. I see a lot of people struggle with that, and it's very worth the whatever it is, 5% to pay someone to do their billing. They're scrambling to figure out how they're going to keep the entire thing afloat with losing a bigger chunk of money. So that always was a big stressor in an agency. That's one key difference that I don't have to feel. I don't have to kind of ride that roller coaster. And I also, you know, I have control over my professional life. I don't have to worry if there's restructuring. I don't have to worry about layoffs. I don't have to worry about any of that. As far as the clients, I think there just tends to be higher need clients in agency work overall. My experience was that I was in a population that had a lot of need, and there was, again, like I said, a lot of DSS involvement. So it's very system oriented.
It has to do with health insurance.
It does. What that means is filling out the paperwork and Blue Cross saying, okay, you seem like an okay therapist and we have room in your region. So what a lot of my colleagues have run into is they only will accept a certain number of therapists in each region. I think it's county based. And, you know, if they're full, they're full. And you can't get on there no matter what. You have to wait for it to open back up. So that's what that means, just having them put you as part of their network.
And can you do that with more than one health insurance company?
Yeah, most people do. Mm-hmm.
Is it then easier to be paneled when you're with an agency as opposed to private practice? Like, is there a benefit to being paneled within an agency first and then going out?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because you're already kind of in the system.
If someone else can do that, it's awesome. Yeah, because then you just transfer it all. And I didn't know how awesome it was then, but when I transitioned into my own thing, I realized how great it was. I would definitely, and we've talked about doing this again at some point, but just a fax send out to all the doctor's offices, just letting them know who we serve and what insurances we take. And we have a website, which is really helpful, so that people can check out our bios and find out who might be the best fit. And I have some business cards. I don't know if I have enough, but you could just check that out, and that kind of helps you see how we're structured and how we present ourselves as a group. That might be helpful.
Yeah.
I think most people that come into my office, it fits somewhere in anxiety, depression, adjustment disorder stuff. I've gotten a lot of people coming in, especially the adults I'm working with now tend to be women in their early 20s to early 30s, and a lot of that is just adjustment, because that's a big life change, and there's some depression and anxiety that comes along with change a lot of times. So a lot of that, I'd say mostly. Of course, with kids, there's ADD, but one thing I learned working in Haywood County is that's what anxiety looks like in kids, is ADD. So I'm not quick to diagnose with ADD or ADHD, because I really believe that's how kids manifest anxiety. That's how they show it. So I try and assess that part really well.